For the man who has spent time in prison, the ultimate freedom is seeing the opening of the bars that separate him from society. More than anything else, they are the physical symbols of alienation, constant reminders that he is different, an offender, an outcast. Yet when these bars are removed, alienation from the rest of society does not necessarily end. In fact, many who have been released find their imprisonment continues long after the physical bars have been moved aside.
When I left here, I had $13. I didn't have a place to stay, and not even didn't have a job. So like, I was faced with no money, no job, no place to stay, and every place I went, you know, it was the same thing. Have you ever been locked up? And I'm trying to be real and truthful as possible. Yeah, I've been locked up, you know. So we started with our policy that we don't hire ex-convicts, you know. So, and like, people in the neighborhood, you know, all society itself, you know, just frowned upon me and said, you know, like, there's nothing we can do for you because, you know, like, you're an ex-convict, man, you know. So I went all through all the changes. I had only one thing, man. Like, when I came in the joint, I knew one thing. I came in as a thief, man, you know. And society was about to drive me back into what I knew how to do best, and steal.
Today in Maryland, there is a new approach to the problem of rehabilitating men and women who have spent time in prison and who wish to return to the mainstream of society. The new approach is embodied in the Special Services Division of the city's Concentrated Employment Program, a community action agency affiliate which in the past 2 years has encouraged thousands of ghetto Baltimoreans to work, and through various agencies trained them, aided them with social, health, and family problems, and placed them in business and industry. Under this format, almost 2,000 ex-offenders, as CEP calls those returning from prison, have been aided in getting jobs, and the large percentage have not followed the usual path back to crime and another prison sentence. Frederick L. Nims, Jr., CEP administrator, believes the program for ex-offenders has succeeded because its approach is different from that of other social agencies.
The way the techniques might differ from those normal kinds of social work programs is that, number one, we hire persons who have successfully been rehabilitated. That's the first thing. So that the first thing that a person comes out of the institution, he is greeted by a person who perhaps has just as recently or a year before has also been in the institution with him, has lived with him, knows what his problems are, and also can predict the way that person will act in a given situation. This is different from, for example, a guy coming out of an institution and going up to a desk, and there's a social worker from Harvard or something who has no idea of the person or the inside of an institution or anything else. And I don't know that these kinds of techniques are learned in the textbook. I think primarily they're learned through experience and through the hard knocks that a person gains by having gone through the process himself. Secondly, I think that one of the advantages in doing this is that the people themselves who are working with the ex-offender in many cases haven't had the advantage of having been brainwashed by the traditional type of social work curriculum. So that therefore they're flexible in their techniques, they experiment, and they also take a very realistic approach to the matter. There's not a problem of communication. In most cases, they're talking it and telling it just the way it is, without regard, in some cases, even for the feelings of the individual. So in some cases, it is needed this kind of trauma, telling it like it is, that the guy just becomes aware. Like, I've just got to do something for myself.
The man directly responsible for the Special Services Division of CEP is George A. Woodland, former Korean War veteran, former shoplifter, former inmate of the Maryland prison system. He is now described as a social worker with muscle.
In 1967, I got out of jail for the last time, and I decided at that time that was it for me. I wasn't going back to no more correctional institutions at 50 cents a day. And that's when I started looking for me a job. After 6 months of going here, going there, and knocking around from one employer to another, always with the employer found I had a record, I was discharged from the job. I would go in and tell them I'd never been locked up, get the job, 2 or 3 weeks later, they found out I had a record, they would fire me. So I seen a SEP advertisement, and I decided maybe I'd try that. Maybe they could train me for something that I didn't have no skills in. When I first came to SEP, I asked Mr. Nims, I said I wanted a job as a coach because I heard that you was hiring. And Mr. Nims said, well, I don't have any jobs as a coach. But I will tell you what I do. I'll send you over to a counselor, put you in a training program. If you work out, we will hire you. So I stayed in the training program, New Careers, for 6 months. Then I was put on the city payroll as a provisional worker for a year and a half. And I found that during that year and a half, working with other people, that my problems wasn't as large as I thought they were. That there was many other people who had the same problem that I had. And in 1968, we decided to go into the institutions, get these people before they got to the street with that problem, and make arrangements to solve it so that they wouldn't be floating in the street 6 or 7 months. Now, I don't think I'm no miracle worker by a long shot, because I believe that most of the people coming out of a correctional institution truly wants to go straight and honestly are willing to work. But I think the problem is they're kept on the outskirts of society so long because of their backgrounds that their only livelihood is to go back what they know best. That's steal from you and me. Okay, what did they do to help you when you got out? Anybody help you?
Not precisely.
All right, but who?
Well, when I got out, I wasn't looking for any help.
You wasn't looking for that?
All I wanted, when I first got out, all I did when I got out was went back to my regular routine.
And what was your routine?
Well, carrying the bottle.
Carrying the bottle.
That's all I felt was necessary to do then.
Oh, you never had a job before that?
Oh, I had jobs, but they didn't mean anything to me at the present.
So you had no pay. But what happened to you the last time you got out? Did you find a job, or was anybody out to meet you there?
No, not exactly anybody to meet me. I just got off bus, I went home to see my mother. So when, got crazy in the car. So that was it till the next day. I wanted to look for a job. Man, checked up on my record, said we can't use you because you had to pay a record. So that was it.
You look for a job anymore after that?
No, not exactly.
What did you do after that?
I slayed around, till I got tired of laying around. Then I stopped moving on my own.
Oh, you started work on your own, huh?
Yeah.
Yoking?
Yeah. And,
Got caught?
Yeah, I got caught. Standing on the corner, man, come pick me up.
See that? If you had a job, if you yoked a man and had a job, you wouldn't be able to pick you up on the corner. You wouldn't know what it looks like. See? Because you've been working. Okay? So that's as a sample of what we're trying to prove to you. You see, all these fellas went out. There was nobody there to give him that extra push on that job, or to stand up and talk for him because he had a record. Well, we're going to do that for you. And we're going to do it for you because we think we can do it better than you. Because when we talk to a man about the job, we're going to give him some help about that job, or why he don't want to hire you. Well, if you was talking to the man about the job, you might have some hang-ups about giving him help for the job. You might be over too polite with him. So we're going to take care of all those responsibilities for you. Where do you go from here is what you're going to have to determine yourself. What you're going to do when you leave here, where you're going at when you leave here. Now, we at SEP have a theory that if you want a job, we can get you one. But you're going to have to want the job, and you're going to have to want to work. This is all up to you.
Before they are released, most prisoners, such as these young men of the Maryland Correctional Institute at Hagerstown, have at least one discussion with George Woodland and his staff of ex-offenders. Because the CEP crew is composed of those who have been through the prison experience themselves, they know how to talk to the young men, how to draw questions from them, and how to answer in the most understandable way.
He'll spend the money he gets from the welfare when he can't boost them no more. He'll try somebody else, and when that door run out, he's going to stick his hand in somebody's car window. But I got news for you. 1969, 1970 cars, you can't reach the lock. You got a one-piece window, you got to knock the whole window out and you get caught. Makes too much noise. Safety plate glass, you know, so like when them store windows, when you hit it, bang, ling, ling, ling. They like it was in the old cars, you know, you holding up with a can opener. That don't work no more. Besides, the steering wheel locked. You can't drive it away. Once the guy locks it up, take the keys out, you can't move the car, but you can't steer. You just stuck. So that lets that out. Pocketbook snatching. The women ain't wearing them, ain't putting no money in their pocketbook. They put them in the high-heel boots, down in the bazaar, and up under their minutes. And if you go up under one of their minutes, you're going to get charged with rape. And then the young girls have got a new trick. They're wearing maxes now. So you used to get a handful, you stick your hand down there and snatch a pocketbook or two. Well, they don't put nothing in their pocketbook. They got these long maxes. The coat's so long that they have to practice how to walk in it for a week before they can wear it. It goes all the way down to the ankles. So you ain't no way you're going to make no money out of that. So the only thing left for you to do is get a job. But we know you can use your hands or you wouldn't be in jail. See? Everybody in jail got good manual dexterity, you know, because you use their hands, you know, like pickpockets and things like that.
Okay, you say when you get out, come down to this program and go through orientation. Now, some jobs, when you go to, you need a high school education, not just us.
All right, if you need
Okay,
a high
they'll
school,
train you for a job. The job they train you for, some of them going to need us
all right,
high school
we have a basic
education.
education.
Try to get your diploma.
See, we have a basic education that will teach you. So
Well, what am I going to
pass the
do
high
for that
school.
year while I'm waiting before I can be eligible?
You will get paid $1.60 an hour. Sit in that classroom and learn how to get your high school diploma. So what you're saying is, all of the stuff that I have told you is a lot of blocking. I'm just a big damn lie.
Right.
Well, everything I said to you, we gonna do, and I can prove it to you that we can do it. Here's a man right here that went through it.
No.
There's another one sitting back there that went through it. See? These people went through there successful and got jobs. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 sitting right there that went through there.
And we're making it, man.
Cali, you don't know nothing
Man,
about
here's
it.
a pair of glasses, Jack, that I got in that program.
Well, couple of my buddies out on the street, they went a SEP program. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't believe in it, no. But they've been in a good while, but I don't see where they getting nowhere. Like, they tell me on their lunch hour, they go around an alley and buy their stuff and drink their syrup, drink their wine. I don't see where they getting nowhere.
Wow.
Yeah, but now we really got them. I'm gonna show you how we got them in the bag. As long as they're in the program and he sneaks out only once a day, and that's during the lunch hour, right? Yeah. Get his serve, get his little shot, right? Now, if he wasn't in the program, he had to be out stealing to get the money to get that, wouldn't he? Yeah. And the result is, he wouldn't be out in the street as long as he's going to be now, is he?
Yeah, I'm not saying I don't believe in it. I mean, I know a couple of my friends, they helped them a lot, and some of them, but the majority that I know haven't helped.
If the cat doesn't have any confidence in himself, that's his hang-up.
Yeah.
We're trying to get him a job, get him work, try and help himself. We give him the money to try and keep him off the street from hustling or stealing. The money's to get him provided with lunch, get his clothes clean, and with transportation. Now, if he wants to go out there and fire and booze, and if we catch him, if we catch him, we're gonna turn him off right quick. Dig it? See? We take him into our alcoholic and drug abuse counselor. Let him rap to the man. If he got any hang-ups, the man definitely can iron him out. Get him in a program so he can rehabilitate his own self. See, but you got to have it in your own mind, man. You know, like if you come down and expect us to work miracles, we can't work miracles. But we can do all we can try and do for you. The rest, you got to put forth the effort.
Still other discussions are held at prisons housing older inmates. This one, for example, took place at the Correctional Institution at Jessup. Here the members of George Woodland's CEP crew address the older men in a way that is subtly but distinctly different from that used with the young men at Hagerstown. Almost without realizing it, the former convicts have become psychologists and shrewd analysts of human behavior.
It is a difference. We started out from actually nothing with
director, Fred Nims, and people like George Woodland, Charlie Brown, Tom Long, Tom Jones, myself. 9 out of 10 of us are ex-cons. You dig it? Here I am now sitting talking to some of my fellow men. This motivates these people. This gives them something to drive for. I mean, if the parole board don't accept a letter from SEP, then it had me in the street over 30 months for nothing, because I've been with SEP. You know, I should be living proof just being here that SEP will do something for you. You understand? Because as of now, I'm still on parole. But
there's another thing that the parole board failed to realize. The parole board tells you to get a job. We can get you a job, and the parole board is so long turning you loose, the man has to hire somebody while we're waiting on them to do the paperwork to turn you loose. Because then you lose the job anyway.
Let me ask you a question. Has anyone from SEP contacted the parole board and told them what you're telling us now?
We had the parole board there, and we got an agreement out of Mr. Warman 2 years ago. And it's not Mr. Warman.
Mr. Mason's there now.
Mr. Mason ain't the problem either. It's some of the parole officers individually that don't feel this way. Well,
One unique facet of the SEP program is that each ex-offender who signs up is guaranteed someone will be waiting for him when he leaves the institution. As a result, the SEP station wagon is a familiar sight at all of the state's prisons. It is George Woodland's theory that the first 90 days of a man's freedom are critical. Therefore, life must be made simple and uncomplicated for him during this time. If he has no Social Security card, SEP gets it for him. If the man's driver's license needs renewing, if he needs welfare money, SEP takes care of the necessary paperwork. This is what George Woodland describes as the one station stop.
Good afternoon. This being your first
As part of its one station stop philosophy, SEP also runs an orientation course for ex-offenders, most of whom need instruction in the simple aspects of daily living and job hunting.
At the most 3. During this time, you will have 4 subjects. Those subjects are job preparation, and in this particular area, you will have the application form, a data sheet, which will help you when you go to complete it, the interview, and you will even tape your interviews. You'll have money management and budgeting. This will help you with your income after you get the job. You'll have grooming or personal hygiene. This is to help you so that we can all look natural but beautiful. And you will have human relations that teaches us that all of us can live together comfortably. It's not an actual classroom setting that we have here at SEP. We have many varied experiences, and I think that you will enjoy it. There are, however, some rules and regulations that we must go by. These being no sunglasses. The young man over there has some sunglasses on. Thank you. No smoking in the classes and no gum chewing. All guilty parties, I'd like to do away with those things they're guilty of. No lateness, because we're ready now for the job, right? Aren't you ready? Well, answer me. This being the case, then you'll be here every day and you'll be here on time every day. Right?
Individuals go?
No, you can't do that. One often exciting phase of the ex-offender's SEP orientation is called the sensitivity session, a kind of raucous group therapy designed to bring hostilities and hidden frustrations to the surface. In some cases, George Woodland and his staff deliberately set themselves up as targets for the anxieties of the ex-inmates, so that their anxieties will find expression and can be answered.
We directly in the middle. All of us have been in an institution. Right. What you I see from my standpoint, you're trying to put us right down in the gutter. Right. We are here to get help, and it seems as though you're not trying to help us, but this organization SEP is helping us. You are not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Listen, what is your name, sir?
Louis Price.
Mr. Price, listen. There's one thing I want you to understand. This is very good. One thing, Mr. Woodland does not run the program. The money is appropriated by the Department of Labor. Mr. Woodland is charged of special service. Mr. Woodland is a dedicated person. He will help you to get a job. He will help you to further your education. No. You know why he's not sounding like this? I'll tell you why. Well, let me answer your question. You know why he sounds like this? You know why he answers? You know why he said? Because he wants to hear what you're going to say.
Well, give him a guy.
Yeah.
We're on TV.
Go ahead, what you say.
Guys, come on.
Let's
really got this. Go ahead, man. Suppose a guy come out of the institution, man, out of jail, you know? Yeah. All right, now, let's take a guy in the back. Suppose they want to go to college or something like that, you know? Yeah. Now, they don't, it's like they have about a 7th grade, what you call it, educational or IQ, something like that. Now, if they want to go to college, man, they finish high school, they go on through now. Will SEP help them?
SEP will help them.
Go to college.
Got 3 in there now, 3 this week. We'll start college coming Monday morning or the next semester. True and engineering.
Now, all right. Listen, for one thing, this gentleman said this. He said that when you're in the institution, you can't go to school. I know you.
I didn't verify.
All right. Then you say that this man has got. Then you turn around and say that this man has got common education.
I said self.
Self-education. Everybody else has got common sense in here.
Well, tell me something. When you come to this program, man, I mean, you did more. Y'all doing more knocking down than anything.
Why?
I done seen you and him do more knocking down.
Who did I knock down?
This is the way you talking to your man.
No, I didn't.
You don't have nothing on the ball. You supposed to help him to put on the ball.
I cannot pick what you don't got on the ball until you reveal to me. Until you reveal to me. Well, what do you want to do? What do you want to do?
Are you not working? I mean, are you sure enough gonna get me something?
Yeah. What do you want to do?
I want to finish.
All right. Since that you're making the pyramid, you want to go to school to further your education?
I'm trying to go now, baby.
Well, I'll see that you go. When we leave here, I'll take you down there to your counselor and take you to the ES camp and see that you go to school.
And make sure I get
because
a job on the side.
It's up to you to make sure that you get a good job. It's up to you to make sure. It's up to you to make sure. It's up to you to make sure.
He wouldn't do it, you know.
It's up to you.
Hey, what about me, man?
If you want to go to school, then you know $46 will not make it.
$46 will make it. But if I do go to school, then if you give me a little more money, you know.
The SEP orientation usually concludes with 1 or more job interviews. Here again, the new man is usually taken to the employer by members of the Special Services staff. They know that the ex-offender is apt to be tense, that he could easily fall victim to nervousness. After a final pre-interview briefing, the SEP staff member physically accompanies the man to the potential employer's place of business. If the candidate is turned down, he and SEP will know why. So far, however, the record of hiring, retention, and employer satisfaction has been gratifyingly high.
But we have very good success in placements. Out of 1,755 that we could actually count on our computers that went through here, we had placed all of them either in a training situation or a job. We ran a survey on 854. Of the 854, we found that only 25 had reverted back to jail. 4 was in mental hospitals, 5 had been drafted, and 2 just dropped out the program with no explanation of why. We figured this is a good success ratio.
Ex-offenders have been successful in our employee training program at HCA. We've employed approximately 70 individuals in the NAB training program, and out of that number we have employed 30 ex-offenders, and 70% of them have remained. We find this is a high retention rate for employees in general. We also find that ex-offenders are highly motivated. They want to move up, and they take opportunities to move up. We also find that our company helps ex-offenders through its staff and fellow workers. We look at our whole plant as a therapeutic process in helping these men to become rehabilitated. And they make a special effort to make it.
because they know that they have a strike against them, and they want to prove to themselves and to society that they can make it. We never remind them of the fact that they have a strike against them, but we take them as individuals. A man is a man for what he can do and not what he has done.
Not content with training ex-offenders for jobs once they have been released, SEP has also undertaken the responsibility of improving training inside the penal institutions. In January 1970, the Correctional Institution for Women at Jessup began a completely modern training program of typing and key punch operation, largely as a result of SEP urging. It was the first course of its kind to be offered in Maryland's correctional system, and is one of the few such courses in the entire United States. After the women have been released, SEP will find jobs for them. Such courses, according to Frederick Nims, are but the beginning of SEP efforts to make rehabilitation truly meaningful.
Now, on the basis of our track record, and we start to look back to see where we were and where we have been and where we hope to go, we see that we have managed to do a number of things, make some changes in the family structure, some changes in the crime statistics, and we feel that, number one, what we're doing has to be done on a massive scale, because otherwise you're continually defeating yourself. The problem starts to compound itself. So therefore, we feel that the program should be expanded. All right, how should we do this? Primarily, our program has focused in on the fellows after they have been released or they have been paroled. We think that taking from that point, we ought to start moving backward. So there's a high priority. We would want to start servicing those persons who have short terms of service, so that those persons could be released under minimum security and could be oriented and could be even trained in what has been known as a halfway house. We have an idea, we have our eyes on several locations, one of which is the Mount Royal Hotel, which we feel could very adequately service 100 or 200 persons at one time. Now, the reason why we would need to work with ex-offenders in large numbers, because then we could significantly reduce the in-institution population, so that it would be reduced to such a point that then we could start moving inside the institution and start making some meaningful programs. Now, as long as the institutions are crowded, you pull 5 and 10 and 15 at a time, you still leave the prison so crowded that you're not able to do anything with the guys that are left in. So therefore, the guys who are easy to work with, who have a short term, we put them out on the minimum security, give them pre-vocational orientation training, skills training, and then we move inside the prison. And I think as the second priority would be those youthful offenders with 1 or 2 offenses. So you have a greater chance of success, and your success ratio would be higher, and you'd have instant success with that group. Then you would go into your repeaters who have longer periods of time, and then start to developing some careers inside the institution, tied in with career development on the outside, which could extend from programs for illiterates, stressing all, running the gamut all the way to 4-year college programs. This would be for people who have longer sentences. We feel by doing this, we could not only cut down on the rate of recidivism, that is, those who return, and also could make those who have not become hardcore or so-called hardened criminals to provide some what we call attractive alternative to a life of crime.
All right, baby. That's nice.
We'll see y'all there.
You know it ain't no.